coming up
is Fatima Whitbread MBE.
Oh my gosh,
Oh
good
my
morning.
God.
I was abandoned as a baby and some would say left to die. So a neighbour heard a baby crying in the flat, hadn't seen anybody coming or go in 2 days. Sport was my saviour. Dear Mrs Whitbread, one day I want to be the best javelin thrower in the world.
Wow.
As athlete and coach and as mum and daughter, we conquered the world. I had to retire from sport because I ruptured my shoulder.
What was more painful, childbirth or that?
It is.
Hannah, babe, what are you doing?
I'm warming up. We've got Fatima Whitbread coming on the show, haven't we?
No, I know, but she's not going to do a beat test. It's just the usual sit down, chat, usual stuff. You know, her javelin teacher actually adopted her.
I hope she thanked her. That is going above and beyond.
It absolutely is going above and beyond. And on that note, we partnered with Tesco, who are supporting National Thank a Teacher Day. So if you have a teacher that you want to thank, go to thankateacher.co.uk.
You have until the 1st of July to get your applications in, so get it quick. Fatima's here. Hi!
Oh God. Okay. Welcome to No Parental Guidance.
Please welcome the powerhouse that is Fatima Whitbread MBE.
Oh my gosh.
Oh
good
my
morning.
God.
Thank
Good
you
morning
so
to
much
you.
for being here.
We're like privileged to have you here. Thank you so much for joining
That's nice,
us.
kind words. Thank you very much.
And we've
I'm
already
really
been
pleased
speaking loads
I
of
know, we've
camera,
asked you- we've been asking you so many
Oh my
questions.
God. Save it for the show. First of all, tell us about your amazing journey to basically where you are now. And I really want to talk about how your mother, Margaret,
Yeah.
adopted you.
A lot happened before then, though. As you say, I mean,
Yeah.
I was abandoned as a baby and some would say left to die. So a neighbour heard a baby crying in the flat, hadn't seen anybody coming or go in 2 days. So she called the police, who banged the door down, rescued the baby, which was myself. And then that saw me in the hospital for several months, of which I was recovering from malnutrition and nappy rash. And I always say, I'm pleased to say I got over the nappy rash.
Yeah.
But during that time, Hackney Borough Council then made me a ward of court, which saw me incarcerated in the care system for the next 14 years of my life. 14 years, I mean, the care system then was non-existent, so the child's emotional needs were very rarely met. Yeah, I can always remember playing in the front room which faced the car park. And anybody that came into the car park, I'd always say, is that my mummy coming to collect me? And I do remember, you know, no visits, no birthday cards, nobody sat me down to say, you know, why I was there. And so, you know, it was very tough existence. But I was very lucky because I had an Auntie Ray and she was my bright shining star.
Yeah, and I just, I read your book this morning.
Yeah, here
Which
it
is
is.
absolutely beautiful. And I did ask if Auntie Ray was a real character, and she
Yeah.
is, and she sounds amazing. This is the book here.
This is the book. And this is
A
me.
bright shining star.
So this is the book I wrote 2 years ago, My Bright Shining Star. It's about my Auntie Ray. When Auntie Ray was coming in on duty, I'd also run up the staircase and there was a port window and I used to sort of crank my neck round there and watch her walk down the road. Oh, she lives down there on the end of the road there. And I was probably about 10 at the time and I ran out and I picked all these daffodils all around the children's home, naughty girl in people's gardens. And I walked down to Auntie Ray's. And I hid them behind my door and knocked on the door, knock, knock. When she opened the door, I said, will you be my mummy?
Oh,
And Auntie Ray said to me, oh, Fat, she said, let's talk about this. She said, come on round the back. I thought, oh, I'm going to be in trouble now for picking the daffodils. But Auntie Ray, she sat me in her kitchen, gave me a cup of tea and a biscuit. Love a cup of tea and a biscuit to this day. And she said, she taught me 2 really important lessons. She said, Fats, she said, I can't just be your mum. She said, I've got to be mum to all these children. She said, but here's the thing. I'm not always there and you are. She said, so why don't you be their mummy when I'm not there? It gave me a purpose. It swiveled the lens. So I didn't grow up feeling victimised by my circumstance.
And then how did you feel eventually when you did get adopted? At 14 years old, she was your javelin teacher.
As a youngster, I always found that I struggled like all children in the care system. You know, their focus isn't about when they go to school education, it's survival. But where I found myself excelling and really what I loved, the sense of freedom, was sport.
Yeah.
The fact was that sport was my saviour and I used to do all sports. It was through a netball match, and I was making a lot of noise. I was team captain, and the whistle went, and the umpire said, "Young lady, keep that noise down, otherwise you'll be off." And I sort of looked. Now, kids in the care system, they're quite feisty because they're having to stand up for their own rights all the time. So I was kind of feisty about this. And it was going 12 all, 13, 12, 13 all. Now, don't get me wrong. I mean, today they'd call us motivators. But back then they used to call you a pain in the backside, you know.
Of course.
So the whistle went again and the umpire said, "I've told you once, if I've got to tell you again, you're off." So I kind of turned around and started muttering under my voice. And the team captain, Donna, on the opposite team said, "Fats, don't. She's really strict. She'll definitely send you off." "Oh, okay, all right." Anyway, end of the match, we won, yeah. And then it was the end of the netball season and the beginning of the athletic season. And I said to my friend Alma, because she was like, loved sport as well, "Let's go to the local athletic club," you know, and off we went. We probably walked about 5 miles. Alma saw the sprinters and off she went. And I saw this really tall, good-looking fella, blonde, looked like Robert Redford. And I thought, oh, he looks nice.
Oi, oi.
Aye, yeah. As you do.
As you do.
And I saw him throw this like spear, and as it flew through the air, it looked beautifully, aesthetically.
I wasn't expecting you to say that. I was expecting, this guy, but yeah, the javelin. Yeah.
And as I went over to the runway, I saw the javelin on the ground, and I thought, I went to pick it up. And he said, "You can't do that." And I said, "Why not?" So the shot put coach just directly behind said, "No," he said, "young lady, you're going to have to wait in the stand for the javelin coach to come." And as I was sitting there, this mini pulls up into the car park and this little figure walks across the infield, and I look, it's that same woman on the netball court who threatened to send me
Oh
off.
my God.
Oh my God.
Really?
Yeah. And so as she sort of walked closer, I sort of hoped that I would shrink into invisibility. And Jack said, "Oh, Mrs. Whitbread," he said, "I've got a young lady here." And before he could say my name, Mrs. Whitbread said, "Yes, you're Fatima." She said, "Well, let me tell you, young lady, any of that cheek you showed on the netball court, there'll be no throwing any javelins here." So I kind of like put my hands in prayer. I said, "I promise you I'll behave." So she got me right then and there. And as the weeks went by, she would say, "Oh, you've got a bit of talent, young lady." She said, "Why don't you ask Mum and Dad to come up and we can talk about getting you into a program and get you some kit." So I'd sort of just nod my head. And then she said, "Jack," she said, "has Fatima got a hearing problem?" So Jack said, "No, why is that?" She said, "Well, every time I ask Fatima about Mum and Dad, all she does is nod her head." So Jack looked, he said, "Oh," he said, "don't you know?" He said, "She's one of the kids from the children's homes." And with that, Mrs. Whitbread, the following week, when she came up, she had a pair of boots and a javelin, and she sort of threw the boots down to me. She said, "Look," she said, "I've had a young lady that's retired. These boots are probably too big for you, 2 sizes." She said, "Stuff them with paper." She said, "And they're yours, and here's a javelin." So I kind of looked at her and thought, "Are you for real?"
Wow.
You know, because, rarely get anything when kids are in the care system, And I looked at her and I thought, wow, that's really lovely.
Yeah.
And when I got back to the children's home, I said, "Ingrid, come out in the garden. Let me show you how I throw this javelin when I'm up at the track." And of course, it took me a couple of throws to get it to the end of the garden,
Yeah.
of which it went into the vegetable patch. So I pulled it out, threw the spud off the end of the javelin. And then I walked forward and I said, "Ingrid, move out the way now. I'm going to give it a really big throw." And of course I didn't. It went smash through the French windows.
Oh.
And when they got back, I got a month's span. So I got up at 2:00 one morning and I went downstairs into the front room where there was a French bureau. And I started writing on in this MR envelope, "Dear Mrs. Whitbread, sorry I can't come to the track, only I smashed the French windows. But one day I want to be the best javelin thrower in the world."
Whoa.
No way.
Wow. Oh my gosh, you wrote
So,
that?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So
I've got shivers.
yeah, it's amazing, really. Then, of course, when I went out the front door, on the way to school, I posted the letter and I just waited. It was about 4 or 5 days, and I thought she couldn't have got the letter because there was no address. But then I heard the telephone ring, so I sort of pressed my ear to the glass window. And I heard the house auntie saying, no, she can't come. She's been really naughty. Uncle won't let her come. Well, Mrs. Whitbread must have been quite persistent, because within a week I was back at the track trying a javelin again. And then she said to me, why don't you come round and have tea with us and meet the family? So I thought that would be nice. So I went off and met Mr. Whitbread and their 2 sons, Greg and
I bet
Kurt.
she was checking her windows, making sure you weren't throwing the javelin. Check them French doors, Fatima's here.
Yeah. And when she took me back to that evening, she said, it's the summer season. How about, would you like to come and stay for a couple of weeks? And I was thinking, I'm not sure. But when I got back, Auntie Ray said, she said, now listen here, she said, you've always wanted to know what it's like to be in a family situation. She said, here's your chance. She said, off you go. She said, I'm here. She said, I'm looking after the kids. You go and enjoy. Mum said on the way back to the children's home, she said, how about, she said, would you like, she said, to come and be a Whitbread and live with us? And I looked at Auntie Ray, and Auntie Ray looked at me, and true to Auntie Ray, she said, she said, are you going to become a Whitbread? She said, she said, that's everything I can't give you. And if I was you, she said, I'd take that with both hands. Oh. And she put her arms around me. She gave me a big hug and a kiss. And that gave me permission to let go of what was the care system.
Yeah. Yes. It's really incredible because, so my parents have fostered for years, and I've lost count of Christmases that we've had different kids having dinner with us and telling their stories. And the most important thing is the fact of people knowing that there are kids out there that need, like you say, that have a spare bedroom, but people never know where to start to think, well, how do you go about fostering, or how do you go about opening the doors to your home, to think there are so many kids that are, like you say, so talented and want to be loved and need to be loved, but every child has that right, and that's a sad thing that there's kids missing.
It's a birthright, really, when you think it should be a birthright for these young children. If you're listening, think about what more can you do to make a difference to a child's life.
What would you say to your mum, Mrs. Whitbread? What would you say? What would your thanks be?
Well, my biggest thanks is, Mum and I mean, obviously, as athlete and coach, and as mum and daughter, we conquered the world.
And the fact you were given some shoes, somebody else's shoes, and you were told to just, they're 2 sizes too big, stuff some paper in it. Yeah. And then all of a sudden you're like, and then this medal, so I broke the world record. And it's like, what an incredible journey.
And when I look back, it's a dream, really, but it was meant to be.
This episode is sponsored by Tesco, and it's all part of their supporting Thank a Teacher Day campaign. And because your story is so inspirational, with the fact that your teacher adopted you, and how important would you say that teachers are to encourage younger people, especially younger people in care?
Well, as I said, my mum, I mean, she was remarkable that she gave me a chance.
And then in your parenting journey, how did you feel then when you became a mother, and did it kind of bring up trauma from your childhood, and kind of think, you're looking at this baby and just thinking, how could anyone leave a child?
Well, it was really important for me, as you've heard me say about breaking the cycle.
Yeah.
For me, it was no different. I wanted to be a good mum. I mean, that was the one thing I really wanted to do, apart from my sport, was to actually break the cycle and know what it was to be a mum.
But can I ask you about your journey into motherhood? Because you had IVF, didn't you?
I had IVF. I mean, getting my husband to stand still for long enough was hard.
I wondered where you were going with that.
Here we go. There you go. So, no, I mean, it was very difficult. I think his little fishies didn't do the work anyway. So the point was, I mean, I was very lucky, because at the time I had IVF, it was Dr. Winston who did it. Right. Back in the day, he was the founder of IVF, and in High Street.
Really? Yeah. Oh my gosh!
Yeah. So I was very fortunate.
Yeah.
But it took 3 attempts, and I remember sitting in the waiting room on this occasion with another lady, and she was a bit upset. She'd come out from the office. I said, "Are you all right?" So she said, "Yes." She said, "Well," I said, "Why are you upset?" And she said, "I've got 4." She said, "Quads."
Oh my God.
She said, "I don't know how I'm going to cope."
I thought you were going to say 4 eggs that are good or something.
No,
she was actually pregnant with quads.
Yeah, and I thought, what's this going to be for me? And of course, I only had the one, so I was really pleased. I was prepared for maybe 2, But this was my third and final attempt at
Yeah.
having IVF, and fortunately for me, I did.
And can you remember the journey of the IVF? Because it's brutal, isn't it? Was
It's
it
stressful.
around
Yeah.
training and competing.
Yeah, for me, it was my training, unfortunately, because I committed to my training so many years, 3 times a day training,
yeah.
7 days a week for nearly 20 years. So I really had a period. Equally, I found it hard to carry. I had a couple of miscarriages. That's when I had IVF.
Sorry to hear that.
So I didn't know whether I would be able to.
Yeah.
So I was ecstatic when I learned that I was, and I just wanted to get through, like all women, that 12-week period.
Yeah.
And so for me, it was, once 12 weeks was over, I started actually doing a little bit of training.
And scans weren't the same back then as what they are now, where you could just literally it's like going to the supermarket, just pop and have a scan.
Yes.
Honestly, I remember I must have been something like 7 months, and I woke up, and living on your own is terrible because you got no one to talk to. I couldn't feel the baby's beat. I couldn't feel the movement. And I was thinking, is everything all right?
Yeah.
I remember ringing my chiropractor the next day. I said, have you still got that stethoscope?
Oh.
And he said, yes. He gave me a stethoscope, so I would listen to the baby's heartbeat on a daily basis, because it just panicked me,
Yeah. And what was your birth like? We love a birth story.
We do.
On the show.
Well,
would you like to share?
Yes, you can share this one, because actually I was in South Africa. Ryan was born in South Africa. My husband was working there, and I was still training. And I'd had this.
Of course you were.
I had this trip to go into Cape Town for one of the events, and it was the last trip. The obstetrician said to me, this is your last trip, you're going to have to stay put before you have the baby. So I said, yeah, that's fine. Well, the day before I flew back to Johann, I couldn't, the day before, off the sun lounger, I just couldn't move. I was in such pain.
Oh my gosh.
I thought, this is not right, So I'm not feeling too good. Anyway, he sent a runner back to see if I was all right, and I managed to get there to the stadium, and it sort of kind of dissipated the discomfort. When I flew back in, I had the next day to go and see the obstetrician, and he said to me, jump up on the table and let's have a little look. And then he said, you've dilated, he said, by about 4 centimetres.
I was going to say,
oh my gosh.
So I said to him, well, that's all right. I've been in the gym. I had been in the gym when I got back before I went
just
to the
appointment.
appointment.
Sure.
Yeah, I said to him, no, I said, you got that wrong. I said, I've been doing some sit-ups and that. I said, that's probably what it is. No, he said, no, you don't understand. He said, that baby's coming. It'll be here tonight.
Oh my God. I've got to go to the gym though.
And oh my God, it was, I couldn't, when I got to the hospital, it was like a third world hospital out there in South Africa. And I remember getting to the receptionist and saying, I've got to come in, I'm seeing, I gave the doctor, no, she said, you're not on the list. You can't come in.
What?
I said, what? I said, well, you're going to have to let me in. I've got a baby.
Literally in labour.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And she said, well, no. She said, sit in the reception, she said, until the doctor comes. Well, I had to put my feet up on the table, lay on this chair. I felt so terrible. I felt so bad. And I said, you're crazy. I said, the doctor's, told me to come here. I said, this is the doctor's name.
Did you not say I'm like dilated?
Yeah, I said, I told her that. So she said, well, the doctor's not here. He's gone home. I thought, what's he gone home for? Well, of course, it's down the road. He's probably gone home for his tea,
Yeah.
Anyway, eventually they took me downstairs, and they said, we're going to have to clean you. They put the tube up your back passage and do whatever they do. Well, from that minute on, I was in agony. They put this little heart monitor on, and it was that's when it all started. For about 10 hours, I was like in labour, and then little Ryan popped out.
And what was that feeling like from your journey of having some miscarriages, having 3 rounds of IVF, being in a different country and giving birth?
Yeah.
What was that feeling like to hold him for the first time?
Well, it was an amazing feeling, for somebody like wanting to be a mum for so long. I was just like torn between frightened because this little thing was so small. It was only £6.
Oh.
6 pounds 9 ounces. He was 3 weeks early, but that's not the point. He was strong as an ox. But I thought, oh my God, I was holding him like this. I thought, oh, how am I going to look after this little thing?
I think we can all relate
It's
to
that
that.
fear,
My
isn't it?
God.
When you
Yeah, I
do hold
was
your baby and
so
look at them,
What
and
do I do
they make
now?
noises and stuff.
Oh
And
my
you're like,
God,
what
I
do
just,
do?
yeah.
Where was Andy at this point? Like,
He
how
was
it
there
with
when
him?
What was he like
he
in
was there
labour?
when he cut the umbilical cord.
Oh, dear, yeah.
Was he
Nice.
calming when you were having contractions?
No, he wasn't. He tried
Did you
to
want
creep
punch
out
him
the
in the
door.
face?
He tried to creep out the door.
This is too much.
Yeah, I'm off. And I said to him, where are you going? He said,
There's a diamond league to saw.
yeah, there was a meeting. And he said, oh, I've got to go. And I said to him, no, you're not. If I've got to do this, and you can jolly well stay here with me.
Absolutely.
And he did, bless him. But he was a bit queasy, yeah.
What are you like as a mum? Are you quite strict or are you
No.
quite laid back?
Yes and
or-
no. Tough love is always, and kids need boundaries.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. I mean, those are a given. I mean, we had routine as kids in the care system. I think that was a good thing.
Yeah.
We all had our jobs to earn our pocket money.
Is he into javelin?
No, he did track running. He was a good sprinter, but then he didn't want to go international. He was happy just club and doing it for enjoyment and socially, and that was fine for me. Because I see so many young parents today, even when I used to take him to football when he's a youngster, parents living their lives through their kids.
Yeah.
And it's an awful pressure for youngsters.
I've just got this
No,
vision
not a
of you
sense
on
of freedom.
sports day though, Fatima, in your shell suit, sweatband on, and
Oh,
all
I
the
did
other
the mum's run.
All the mums are here. Oh,
I got
Fatima's here.
You didn't.
No,
Got
you didn't.
Oh, no.
No, and listen, it was quite funny really, because this young mum was like limbering up with us. I got all the gear and her spikes, and I wasn't running at all. And somebody said, "Go on, you go in the race." And I thought, "Oh, how bad can it be?" Oh, she whopped me. She whopped me, which was quite funny, really. I didn't warm up or anything, and it was very short distance. And it takes me a while to get in to a distance, and she whopped me, and it was quite funny, really.
I feel like you're just making excuses there. Why were you not there in your spikes warming up?
No, because I never intended to run, because I love just watching.
Did you come to school the next day with your gold medals? Like, don't worry, I've got these anyway.
No, of course not. I always taught my son that always be gracious and congratulate people when they beat you. And it's not about success. Don't mark yourself by success, because you will fail. That's part of life. Yeah. And in fact, don't be afraid to fail. Don't stop yourself from doing something because you think someone's going to laugh at you. Because
absolutely.
Well, we talk about this all the time, Fatima.
Yeah, and you took, I mean, sport is a huge part of your life. But when you were a young mum, did you find it hard to keep training? Like, I heard that you used to like put Ryan on your back and run to the school and on the school run, and that was your
piggyback up the road. Yeah, he would be on my shoulders and that.
What advice would you give to mums to
Well,
exercise?
I was fortunate because when Ryan was a youngster and he was still sleeping, I get up very early, and most mums do it. You do all your jobs or whatever. I remember, I used to have my weights in the shed. So I get up extra early and make that time because it's part of my mental health.
Yeah.
It's really important.
Needs to be prioritised.
Yeah, you've got to prioritise yourself. If you're not looking after you, how can you look after others as well?
Oh, absolutely.
You need to acknowledge that you also need care.
Yeah.
It's interesting because when you look online and you see some mums that are like, well, just get up at 4. And you're like, okay, that's fine. But my baby's been up all that. I've had 2 hours of broken sleep over like a 6-hour window. And then it's like people will get up and journal, and then they will tidy the house and make coffee and sit and have half an hour. And sometimes you're like, how do you do that?
It's different for everybody, isn't
it?
It
is.
It's how you see and utilise your time.
And how you prioritise time for those
I've got to
things
say,
as
there's
well.
been a couple of times, and literally a couple of times, where I have got up earlier and I have gone to the gym and I get home before my kids have even woken up. It's very rarely that this happens. But when it does, I swear it completely changes my day. I feel more focused. I feel like I've achieved something, and I feel like I'm happier because I'm just like, I've smashed it and I've done something for myself.
Yeah, that's really important.
I need to do more of it. But
my alarm's on at 5 and I get up and train, and then I'm like, right, it's done for the day. I've smashed it out in the garage.
Do you do that every day?
Most days, yeah.
Do you?
Well, I've had this online fitness business for a while, so then I've done sessions, and I'm
You look great,
motivating
girl.
women to
You
do
look great.
but by 2:15, I'm like this.
Yeah.
I'm absolutely knackered.
It's funny because I knew I was getting up early this morning, so I got up early yesterday morning and I went to the gym where normally it would have been my day off. But I compromised and I decided I'll do some swimming and gym, you know, so part leisure, part work.
Yeah.
And it just brings a bit more sense of fun and breaks that routine
And
up
do you
a bit.
notice
need
if you
to
don't
understand
train?
that.
Do you feel?
Yeah, I start
rubbish?
climbing up the wall.
Do you really?
Yeah, definitely.
But even if you miss it for one day?
Yeah, because that's part of my well-being.
Of course.
And if you recognise what works for you, why would you abandon yourself
Yeah.
and neglect that exact thing that's going to make you operational, you know, work emotionally on the right level and physically feel good about yourself.
Yeah.
You know, it's you've got to do the right thing for you first.
And your cup of tea and a biscuit, that's never changed.
That's always
always still there, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I have to ask, because we've been sitting here for about 40 minutes and I'm sitting next to a cockroach with my initials on it.
Yeah.
And this is from your time in I'm a Celebrity, because you went into reality TV.
This is interesting thing.
Like,
And I don't know if you're
actually
watching,
real?
this is,
Yes, it
a
is.
cockroach which went up your nose.
So I had to retire from sport because I ruptured my shoulder, completely ruptured the rotator cuff muscle.
How did you do that?
Throwing. So you know when you hear when you pour a plant root out of the ground, that deep bedded crack.
Yeah.
That's what I did when I threw the javelin. That completely ruptured my rotator cuff muscle.
I'm
But
sorry
it
to
was
hear that.
because they didn't have keyhole surgery back then that I couldn't. You know, they had to use a scalpel, so they cut through the
What was
nerve
more painful,
box.
childbirth or that?
Yeah, it is.
Was it?
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it took me 16 months to get back full movement. So where I could lift my hand and brush my hair.
Oh,
And have you thrown a
wow.
javelin since that happened?
Because they cut through the nerve box, it depleted me of my power. I had to decide that was the end of
Yeah.
it. And that's when I went into sports marketing.
Yeah.
But then reality TV started. And I started doing like Come Dine With Me, The Cube, all sorts.
Oh, wow, you've done loads.
love that.
Amazing. I'd love
Were
to
you
do
good
the
on the cube? Were you?
Actually, I got 75,000 for my charity.
you?
Yeah.
Did you
That's
actually?
fantastic.
Yeah, so it's good. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Right, and then
And so this then in 2011, they asked me would I do I'm a Celeb. Of course, that's my thing. I love it. I love a challenge. And when I went into I'm a Celeb, we had a great group of people. We had Mark Wright from Towie, Dougie Pointer from McFly, Pat Sharp, you know.
of course,
Yeah,
Pat Sharp.
And Pat and I were in a head-to-head. Yeah, we were in a head-to-head to, if the winner would stay, the loser would go. And this was about putting your head in a head casket. And they would pour in and put in all sorts of critters. But the first lot was 8,000 cockroaches.
No.
You cannot
Just no.
comprehend 8,000. Was it noisy?
You can see it on
and smelly?
Google.
honestly.
Yeah, I know, it's
Was
awful.
it?
They had mealyworms and cockroaches. So when these cockroaches were put in from above, they swept round the casket
my
and then
gosh.
one went straight up. And it got stuck behind the ledge
Could you
here.
feel it moving?
Oh,
Yes,
no.
furry
This is
little
like
legs.
my worst nightmare.
Yeah.
You could feel it. You could
You
wriggling.
couldn't snort it down. It wasn't stuck here. It went behind the ledge, behind the eye.
You
there,
are
in there.
so strong, honestly. Wow.
I said to the doctor, he gave me Dr. Bob, three saline solution
I
pumps.
remember this. Yeah.
And they edited it down. It was 40 minutes before it actually came out.
And it was alive there for 40
It was
minutes.
live there for
No,
40 minutes.
no,
I could
no.
feel its furry legs holding on.
No.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, continue, Fatima.
Yeah.
We're fine, but just
So no, I mean, it was like someone shaking up a fizzy drink and it was all exploding. It was like, it was like unbearable.
sorry.
Yeah.
So yeah, and when it did come down, it sort of
knows it's
hit the
that.
ground at speed like Usain Bolt, and then it ran and then keeled over. It killed that poor little thing. And I said, actually, I'm going to take him home. You know, I put him in a plastic bottle and got him home. And then the British Museum put him in resin. So here he is.
And what does LB stand for?
So I nicknamed him Little LB. What would you think?
Oh my God.
Because he was a little.
I'm glad it's not Louise Boyce.
He was a little devil.
I can't
So
believe that's the actual
I
cockroach
cannot
that
believe
got
that was up
stuck.
your nose for
Now,
40
so what's
minutes.
really funny,
There you
with the
go.
kids, when I talk to the kids at school, it's not about the medals. And now I'm fourth generational now, so I used to be able to say to them, your mums and dads will remember me from the days of competing. But all they want to see is the cockroach. Now I have to say your nans and granddads. That's how old I'm getting. But no, that's what they want to see. They want to see the cockroach.
Wow.
Not interested in the medals so much.
And can we have a look at your MBE?
Yes,
yes.
I'm loving everything that you've brought
Love the
to the
merch.
show
She's
today.
MBE.
Absolutely brilliant.
I mean, obviously, what
Look
was
at
amazing
that.
about this was that the late Queen gave me my MBE, and that made me the proudest that I've ever
And
been.
what did she say to
That's
you when you
beautiful.
collected your MBE? Because you have a little chat. What did she
She had
say?
a little chat. Well, the history as it goes, I mean, the Commonwealth Games are, the Queen was the head of the Commonwealth.
Yeah.
And she would always be at the Commonwealth Games. And when she came, because I met the Queen many times, when I won the World Championships as the sole Commodore, I was then made the MBE. And when I stepped forward to take a curtsy, and then she had a few words. She said, "You've come a long way, young lady." Yeah.
Oh my God!
She said,
that
"We
just gave me
remembered."
shivers.
Yeah,
That's
she
beautiful.
remembered me
God.
and said, "Well done for your achievements. I've
Yeah.
watched you, and with how you've come on."
And if there is any single mums watching now, which I'm sure there are, any advice you'd like to give to them, I'm sure they'd love to know.
Yeah, be confident about what you do as well, because what you are giving to your young child, they're learning all the time. So make sure you're confident in what you do. Be positive, and just give them tough love with boundaries, because that's the best thing you can do. Family's everything, and this day and age, it's really important that we do the best we can, because one day they'll have family of their own. So you want them to have a happy life, being able to provide for their children too.
Yeah.
Fatima, thank you so much
you
for
so
coming on the
much.
show.
thank
It's been
you.
an absolute delight to have on.
Well,
have
if
on the
it's
show.
inspired anybody out there, to get going, that's good. If you want to help me more, go on fatimascampaign.com. There's also a Just Giving page which you can support us and the young people and perhaps donate.
Good luck with all your challenges that you have got coming up.
Yeah.
I'm sure you'll smash them anyway.
You
but
will absolutely
thank you so
smash
much
it.
for coming on.
Thank
It's been
you
amazing
so
to
much.
meet
Thank you
Fatima
very much.
Whitbread.
Woo! Thank you.
The story about the fact that her teacher adopted her was just literally
That was so emotional.
It was above and beyond. And on that note, you can still thank a teacher at thankateacher.co.uk.
For your school to apply for an exclusive Tesco fruit and veg grant, £1,000 of fresh fruit and vegetables to
doesn't
your
want
school.
that?
Who doesn't want
Amazing.
that? Great for learning,
Yeah,
nutrition,
all of it.
getting birth.
It all closes on the 1st of July, so go and get those thank yous in. You'll find the link in our YouTube description below. Like and subscribe.
Right, is that finished now? Because I need to go and do the school pickup,
Yes,
and then
I've
we've
got
got
to do
swimming and
shopping.
football and
Got
rugby,
dance as
and
well.
then dance. Oh yeah,
Right,
and then
I'll see you later.
yeah, tidy my house. Yeah.